Hey everyone, it's Ryan Leonard with Wolfnest Property Management, and today I wanted to talk about pros and cons of allowing or letting pets in your rental property if you're a DIY landlord. Obviously, usually people know the data, but I always like to throw it out there that 38% of households in the U.S. Have a cat or dog. Now, to put those numbers in perspective, especially when you have a vacancy, that's a good chunk of that tenant pool that could be considering moving into your rental property. Obviously, if you're making a decision on whether or not you are going to allow pets, I always like to look at the pros and cons of any situation, just so that you can make a better decision for you and your investment property. So let's look at some of the pros. Obviously, I think the pros usually outweigh the cons in the big picture of things, but let's take a look at the pros first. Again, the biggest one is increasing that tenant pool. If you put a property up online and you say no pets allowed, you are really, cutting your tenant pool down by about 38%, which is a big piece. Now, also a lot of times owners make the mistake of saying no pets allowed, and they think that they're just talking about dogs and cats. If you say no pets allowed, someone that has an iguana or a snake or something along those lines, a parakeet, they may think, oh, they mean no pets allowed at all, not just dog and cats. So that's something that you want to make sure that you clarify, that if you just don't, or just not allowing pets, or dogs or cats, you want to make sure that you clarify that no pets, or dogs or cats allowed, but other animals are going to be permitted. So again, increasing your tenant pool is a big one, and it's really helps minimize one of the most costly pieces of owning investment property. That's the vacancy piece. So I highly recommend allowing pets because of that one reason right there. Next one is earning more money. Now, when you're putting your listing up online, there's a lot of things that you can do not only to protect the property from potential pet damage, but also increase or make some new revenue streams. So if you're going to allow pets to the property, you could be charging pet rent, pet deposits, pet screening, whatever you want to call it. Most tenants who have a furry friend are going to do whatever they can and really pay anything to be able to move into a property and have that pet be with them. So make sure that you can capitalize on that. Next one is tenants with support animals. So I believe the numbers, it's like 1 in 5 adults are suffering from some sort of mental health illness. So, I think that there is a real benefit to having a emotional support animal or a service animal in that sense, because again, at the end of the day, if this makes this person happier or just having more enjoyable life, that's just better for you, your property, and really for the community. So again, if you are going to allow pets, which is one thing that I highly recommend, there's obviously some big pros that go along with it. Now, let's talk about the bad side, the cons, right? The first one is obviously property damage. Now, people have heard horror stories about, oh, I had a friend who had a rental property and they had a 200-pound mastiff that just completely destroyed the property and they couldn't get the money from the tenant and they ended up eating that cost themselves. And yes, those type of things can happen, but they happen so few and far between. We found that there is a direct correlation between a responsible pet owner and someone that makes 3 times that monthly rental rate, has a good credit score of 700 or plus, and even if there is damage, who's going to jeopardize that credit score over $1,000, $2,000 that had taken them 20 years to build up? So yes, property damage can be a big one, but as long as you have the proper documentation at move in and move out, and a qualified tenant in there, it really shouldn't be an issue. Next one is noise complaints. Now, this can make you a little bit more involved with the property if you know the neighbors or it's part of an HOA. Obviously, if a tenant moves in and they have a dog that just likes to bark all night long, or it barks anytime that they leave for work, yes, you're probably going to hear nuisance or noise complaints from the neighbors, whether they're reaching out to the HOA, who's then reaching out to you, or if your neighbors know you, they're going to be giving you a call. And obviously there's things, kind of coaching experience or coaching time at that point with your tenant of, hey, if you're going to be leaving for the day, take your dog on a big walk and tire him out. There's things that you can do to kind of help minimize those noise complaints, but obviously it is one thing that you may have to keep in mind. Also, local laws. This isn't even just city or state, but also HOA. Make sure that you're reviewing the CC&R rules and regulations. A lot of times they may have breed restrictions. So if you're saying you're going to allow pets, but if you read the fine print in the HOA and they don't allow any breeds like pit bulls or Rottweilers, something along those lines, those are things that you want to make sure that you disclose up front when you're putting the property online, so that you're, again, just abiding by all the laws, both at city, state, and even in the community if it's part of an HOA. So again, there's a lot of pros and cons with allowing pets. Here at Wolfnest, I highly recommend to all of our clients that they allow pets. One, it boils down to, again, a correlation between responsible pet owner and someone that can move into one of our properties just based on their screening criteria. But also, we have something called a pet guarantee, where Wolfnest actually puts $2,000 on top of the deposit for any interior damage done by that pet. So it's, again, a little incentive that we like to throw into our owners, because we have seen people with pet owners that really do take care of that property. So if you want to discuss your property, your portfolio, whether or not you should allow pets or not, here's my phone number, my email. Give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to discuss your portfolio, our services, and see if they could be a good fit. Thanks.